everyone, and welcome back to my blog. This week I'm talking about fantasy football. I know a lot of our drafts are coming up, so I just wanted to give out some friendly tips and advice. I'm a huge football fan, love fantasy football. At the games, I'm always looking up at the scoreboard, checking out who played that day and how many touchdowns they had, so I'm a big fan. So I wanted to go ahead and share some of the things that I usually take to heart on draft day. First, you want to make sure that you don't draft too many teams with the same bye, too many players with the same bye, or else you're going to be in a lot of trouble when week 4 comes and 5 of your players all have byes on week 4. You're going to need to do a lot of dropping, and trust me when I say if people in your league are smart, they'll pick up your players. So you want to really be careful of that. The other is that you don't want to pick too many teammates on the same team. Teammates in fantasy live and die together as far as numbers go. So if your quarterback's having an awesome day, then your wide receiver is going to have an awesome day. Quarterback's having a terrible day, wide receiver's probably not going to be having a great day either. So you don't want to put all of your eggs in one basket. So once you have those tips down, it's important to go into the draft day with a little bit of a game plan about who you want on your team. Some of my suggestions: for quarterback, I would say Tom Brady and Tony Romo. Pretty obvious why Tom Brady. He's got, great track record, strong player, and he's got an incredible offensive weapon set. So I also think Tony Romo is on the rise, and I think that the Dallas Cowboys are going to have a good year this year, except when they play the Broncos this Saturday. Next position is running back, and my suggestions for running back are Adrian Peterson, last year's Rookie of the Year, Brian Westbrook, and my third pick would be Joseph Adai. I think Brian Westbrook's going to be a really good pick because Donovan McNabb is typically a little bit unpredictable and injury prone, which means they're going to have to rely a lot more on Brian Westbrook, which we saw last year. So definitely a good fantasy pick. As far as running backs, I also want to say don't overstock your running back lineup. If you go in and take 5 awesome running backs, you can only play 2 to 3 of them depending on how your league is set up. So if you've got 5, 6, even 7 running backs, as some people like to do, although your lineup is stacked, you're lacking in other things. So you don't want to overstock your running backs. Next position, wide receiver, Randy Moss and Terrell Owens. While they're not 2 of my favorite guys in the NFL, they are 2 incredible players, and they have a lot of talent. The third would be number 15, Brandon Marshall. He's a great wide receiver, and as long as, everything goes well this season, I think he's going to have a great year. So another player to watch for. Next position, tight end. My number 1 tight end pick is Jason Witten. Tony Romo loves to throw to Jason Witten. They have a great relationship, so that would be a tight end. Another would be one of the most reliable fantasy tight ends probably of all time in my fantasy career, and that would be Antonio Gates. So always a safe bet with Antonio Gates at tight end. Next position, and arguably not everyone's favorite position, would be the kicker. My kicker suggestion is actually a former Colorado Buffalo, and that is Mason Crosby. He had a great year last year, and even though kickers tend to not have great years back-to-back, I think with the loss of Brett Favre, the Green Bay Packers are really going to be using him quite a bit, getting Aaron Rodgers down the field and putting Mason out there. So I think Mason would be a safe bet for kicker. Next and final position is the most underrated position in fantasy football, and that's the defense. You can get quite a bit of points from the defense, and you can get not very many points from the defense. Most of you would know that it starts at a set number of points, and you either lose or you gain from there. So you want a solid defense that's going to come through for you every time, and hopefully come through with some takeaways and interceptions and touchdowns. For that, I am suggesting the Pittsburgh Steelers. Troy Polamalu has been spending his entire offseason getting healthy, and I think when they come back next year, they're going to be solid as usual, and with a healthy Troy, I think they're going to have a lot of potential. Another is the San Diego Chargers. Always a solid defense with Sean Merriman. You've got the quick feet of Cromartie, so I think that's a great choice as well. The last part of fantasy is guessing who your sleepers are going to be, which is definitely the toughest part of fantasy. And I would say, and I hate saying this because I'm definitely not an Oakland Raiders fan, but I think that during this preseason we should keep an eye out for the Oakland Raiders running game. Michael Bush was their draft pick last year in the 4th round, and he had an amazing year at Louisville, but got hurt and injured. They took him anyways. I think Adrian Peterson proved last year that talented running backs can come back after serious injuries if they're working hard at it. So I think he's a gamble. I think he might be a potentially really good sleeper. You just want to keep your eye on that running lineup for the Oakland Raiders. They have quite a few good people in there. So I'm not advocating the Raiders, and I'm not saying I like them, but I'm saying for fantasy, sometimes it's okay to put your allegiances aside. My next set of sleepers is actually the Denver Broncos wide receiver lineup. With the loss of Rod Smith, they're going to be experimenting a lot with that second slot. So if you happen to pick up, Kiri Colbert or Darrell Jackson, they might be great sleepers to complement Brandon Marshall. So especially in those 3 games that he's going to be out, might be really helpful for your fantasy lineup. So I hope that all this was helpful and you'll be able to use these tips and take them into your draft day. Have a good draft, good luck with your franchise, and hopefully you all make it to the Super Bowl. Make sure to come back on Friday and check out the live video that I'll have from the calendar release party. Just a reminder, the release party is this Thursday at Invesco Field at Mile High from 6 to 9. You can go on to denverbroncos.com to find out more information. Tickets will be sold at the door, and we would love for all of you to come out and make it and see the calendar. So hopefully we'll see you there, and if not, I'll see you on Friday.